Well, hey, please embark with me on a journey into American justice, wherein even the book of Enoch tells me to cry out in the 104th chapter. Now, though chapter 91 in the book of Enoch starts speaking of these last days and the work of the 144,000 who are called the righteous ones. Here in chapter 103, and I hope you read that above, as it shows I've cried out many times to the rulers, none have heard me. Before proceeding, I must bring forth a disclaimer. YouTube. Everything within this video is prima facie evidence found in court records that are still open. They're public records, public files, wherein if this video is removed, consider it a tampering with evidence, obstructing of justice, and even against the Uniform Commercial Code, wherein you would be hindering commerce by removing these facts. This video is open testimony. It's an offer of testimony that may be used in any court of law, of jurisdiction, or for any investigation that should be prompted immediately to commence. So let's further with the book of Enoch and what he has to say about the matter. However, Enoch says in chapter 104, I swear to you that the holy Malachim of heaven remember you for righteousness before the glory of the Great One, and your names are written before the glory of the Great One. Be hopeful for a time. Ye were put to shame through ill and affliction, but now ye shall shine like the lights of heaven. Ye shall shine and be seen, and the portals of heaven shall be opened to you, and in your cry for judgment, and it shall appear to you. For all your tribulation shall be visited on the rulers and on all who helped those who plundered you. Please do note the facts here on our King's YouTube channel, wherein you can see that I have indeed called the sheriff of Callahan County, Sheriff Pahatchi's office, not only once, but as you can see here twice. I have put out several other videos, my friends. All these videos and much, much more. Very few views, fewer comments, and thus far no American justice. Now, years and years ago, the FBI actually did start looking into this, and then they stopped and refused to reply or answer anything that I had sent to them. But something everyone should know is that a sheriff of any county, of any state, can call upon the state police, the FBI, and or etc. to conduct investigations into matters that the sheriff himself or their department does not have jurisdiction over. However, they have jurisdiction when a criminal matter has been reported to call upon the state police, the FBI, or any other agency with the jurisdiction to do these investigations. Please report this video to your local sheriff and ask that an investigation be done. So far I've been invisible, but they can see and they can hear you. But you might be wondering what Enoch has to do with my life. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Al-Yahnai Hawkins, also known as Alan Douglas Fountain, born in Rome, New York, 1959. I was called out, give or take, 40 years ago, and on my journey, I was called to Abilene, Texas. Little did I know back then. Well, hopefully is going to take place here very shortly with an investigation that Enoch said I would get. And I understand many may say that I am crazy. And my friends, I must say, if I'm not, I should be. I've done no violence. I do not commit suicide, even by the seaside. And what I'm going to disclose, my friends, are felonious acts that you would not want to believe. It's termed unconscionable in legalese. But anybody who would agree that a public servant should be rewarded for taking a man's dog, 6-month-old dog, and burning it alive in a man's home should be rewarded in America? It's moral turpitudes that a normal man or woman would not be able to sleep after committing. However, my adversaries, though, I forgive them, in that I do not want them to suffer 1 nanosecond in the fires of Gehenna because of what they have done to me. However, what I'm going to disclose was termed many times as David and Goliath, which one will see during the investigation into these criminal acts, which I, by law, my friends, as well as you, if you live upon the soil within the boundaries and the surveys of the Corporation of the United States of America, then under Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 4, felony misprision, emphatically states that whoever having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals and does not, as soon as possible, make known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. And my friends, I have kept this man's law. I've reported it to the provost marshal, even Senator Ted Cruz. I sent all the paperwork to him to conduct an investigation into this matter, and he's been silent. I've contacted, give or take, 100 governmental, law enforcement, news agencies, with only Jay Leno replying and none other even acknowledging by email or any other way that they even received my testimony as to known felonies that have been committed by public servants, stemming from, give or take, 1987, when a man named Richard Sullivan, a building inspector for the city of Abilene, took my 6-month-old Rottweiler and put her into my home, took her off her lead out in the yard, put her in my home, took a can of kerosene I had just purchased that held 7 gallons, and he emptied it throughout the house and lit a match. They put a crime zone ribbon around the place, but during a building inspection committee meeting, I was called in, standards committee, told I had to remove the house, wherein I objected and said there was a crime zone ribbon around it and I was not stupid enough to do so. I said, especially when Richard Sullivan put my dog into my home, took 7 gallons of kerosene and poured it throughout the house and lit a match and burned her alive. And he hasn't been investigated yet. Richard Sullivan stood right there in that public meeting and said nothing. I was given permission to rebuild the stone house, but I had 30 days to clean up the entire acre, which I only owned 1/3 of. I had many friends. I invited them over, and we cleaned up that entire lot. I had rented a dumpster from Tony's Disposal Service, $275, and we discovered the stone house, the mortar between the rocks was weakened to the point where we dismantled it right straight down to the foundation. We washed the foundation, swept it clean, and on a receipt from Tony's Disposal Service for $275 within the time limitations given by that committee. Written on that receipt says, for the removal of burnt structure and debris. So then Richard Sullivan, who was very upset because I blew the whistle on him burning my dog alive in my home, just newly married, we built 2 new homes since the fire of 1987 until February 27, 1989, when Richard Sullivan, in retaliation, acquired a demolition order for the wrong address. He got it for 600 Virgil, which was all part of a fraud being set up, my friends. As I was doing battles with Satan and her minions on a spiritual level, being nonviolent and containing all things to papers that are duly filed in courts, wherein, my friends, once this is revealed, you'll see it's probably the largest conspiracy that's ever taken place on Texas soil. Presidents of the United States were notified. The United States Attorney General's office, Greg Abbott, the Texas Attorney General, even the New York State Governor Cuomo was notified, and yet nobody took any action whatsoever, and therefore should be held as guilty as I would be if I do not disclose what I'm doing this very day. Because Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 4, clearly says I have to report it. However, my friends, I'm doing my duty, but what do they do after I report these things? Now, on February 27, 1989, Richard Sullivan came upon my property, kicked my then pregnant for the first time wife and myself off. Mind you, it was wintertime. All we had was the clothes on our backs. Richard Sullivan demolished and destroyed everything we ever owned. We even had a business I had just quit my job to keep. I had a magazine that was about to be published and sent out like Murray with poultry. I had around 2,000 exotic and domestic birds, many of which were laying. I had incubators that hold 450 eggs each filled, and brooders filled with baby chicks that they simply took to the dump. Most of my live birds escaped, and within 2 weeks, packs of dogs came through, killing for sport. I was piling these birds higher than my head because they couldn't dig the soil. I've taken it to the district court. It was dismissed because the defendant that I was suing, I said, was building inspection office or department, one or the other. It was supposed to be, and I had stated the wrong one, while the attorney that I had stated the wrong one. Later, that same attorney, when I fired him, conspired with the city of Abilene wherein they filed a lawsuit in the federal court. We're talking United States federal court, a known forgery and fraud, wherein the case was lost that the city of Abilene was to use later on, alleging double jeopardy to defend against my claim, my bill, that there was a default judgment put on, wherein, my friends, I own the city of Abilene, and much, much more. If contracts are valid in America, they recently tried to murder me using your tax dollars, misappropriated, my friends, to have me kidnapped, tortured, and starved for 44 days before I was rescued. During that time, they burned down my church, my domicile, and my vehicle. The man who did it was known. He was named. He was seen setting the fire at 3:30, give or take, in the morning while I was being kidnapped, tortured, and starved for no wrongdoing, and by a justice of the peace who only had jurisdiction to hear a matter of a Class C misdemeanor traffic violation, non-jailable, or a civil matter up to $10,000 in controversy, meaning he could only put a bond on somebody for $10,000. That was the ceiling of the jurisdiction of his court. However, I billed John Weeks, a man who was an elected official, a circuit judge of Taylor, Coleman, and Callahan counties, and I sent the man a bill, a negotiable instrument, for over $1 million for contempt of his court. And I itemized what he was being billed for, and I sent him the bill. In the bill, I said all he had to do was do his job and it would all go away. I would not bill him. I'd take no other action if he would just do his job. Instead, John Weeks conspired with the county and/or district attorney, Shane Deal, and T. Barton, who used the sheriff department, who would enforce an order that Shane Deal, being a county even attorney, should know that a justice of the peace does not have jurisdiction of a bill that was negotiable and nobody tried to negotiate for over $1 million. And please understand, these public servants do not like being hindered by things such as sound law, sound statutes, codes, due process, court rules, or anything of those sorts that keeps them from gaining the results that they so desire. There are so many men and women in these jails that don't even know why they're there, my friends. But it was shown me in this complaint why they was attempting to murder me. Let me read it for you in case you missed it. Down here, starting says, the letter dated July 18th, 2016 contained a large amount of nonsense regarding contracts, common law, and Hawkins's declaration that I am a man. They totally dissed my pronoun. Certainly in every county of Texas, that should be against the law, isn't it? Instead of just Coleman, Taylor, Shackelford, and Callahan counties. The letter also contained numerous statements about Hawkins' perceived mistreatment in court on July 14, 2016, and claims that Judge Weeks owes Hawkins, and I never said Judge Weeks owes me. I billed the man. I never billed the judge. You can't bill a judge. But if there's a man who's acting as a judge that steps out from under the umbrella of his immunities, you can bill that man, which I had done. And you know it was valid because they attempted my life to be ended using your tax dollars. The letter also contains numerous statements about Hawkins's perceived mistreatment in court on July 14, 2016, and claims that Judge Weeks owes Hawkins $1,138,348. Now, please understand, it was signed right here by Shane Deal, the Callahan County Attorney. They should know that a Justice of the Peace of Precinct 3 only has jurisdiction to hear a matter up to $10,000, and yet this conspiring Callahan County attorney, prosecuting attorney, while conspiring with the man John Weeks and others, the sheriff at the time, the bailiff, and everyone was in on this, and they know it. And you've seen in the contract, I said the judge would get off scot-free. But yet here in the complaint that they claim I want to file frauds, and yet this is a known fraud, stating Hawkins threatens in his letter to send the IRS a declaration that Hawkins has forgiven the Judge Weeks of that debt, which was true. I did say I would do that. That was one of the options of forgiveness. And my friends, anybody that is a lawyer or an attorney or a judge or a county prosecutor should understand, at least know, that somebody can't just forgive somebody something and the IRS will charge them for it. No, you have to be a financial institution, my friends, for a man or woman or child to be forgiven a debt. And then, because of the amount of debt forgiven, the IRS does want their cut of that forgiveness. But tell me how clever that was to put that in there, my friends, to show how they create frauds against anyone they so desire to do so. And I've written the Texas Bar, I've written the Ethics Commission for the judges, and they all concur that these kind of things are just fine and dandy in Texas. But they should not be, should they? Said debt forgiveness would result in substantial tax consequences for Judge Weeks and substantial financial harm. And they openly admit the contracts are nonsense, common law's nonsense, and because I claim that I'm a man, it's nonsense. These are capital offenses. They need to be investigated as a federal hate crime that was committed and covered up completely by these public servants. They do an excellent job of covering things, but standing upon the foundation of Texas laws, their statutes, codes, ordinances, and such, due process, these are just hindrances to their rule. And an arrest warrant to be issued for a third-degree felony by a justice of the peace who only has jurisdiction up to a Class C misdemeanor traffic offense, non-jailable, and up to $10,000 in controversy. And Steve Odom, the justice of the peace of Callahan County, Texas, also put a bond against me for $30,000, and therefore I was kidnapped. They even took me from Callahan County Jail in my underwear and my socks to the Shackelford County Jail, where on the way the deputy stopped and bought donuts. And of course my wallet, which was not itemized after they unlawfully seized it, had almost $500 missing from it. And when I asked for it, I was told if I did not shut up, they would jail me again. So I grabbed my clothes, because after I was rescued on the 44th day, my friends, leaving Shackelford County Jail weighing around 160 pounds, I got there weighing around 207. Crashed diet, my friends. I asked for medical attention. Took them 10 days to get EMS to me. EMS said I should go to the emergency room. The jailer said this man isn't leaving here. They put me back in solitary confinement. I put a challenge to jurisdiction against that matter, but my friends, what I'm asking to be investigated is while I was being tortured and starved, as stated, my church and domicile and my vehicle was burned up. The arsonist known, but I can't find out what date it burned because no investigation was carried out. The arsonist is protected. They thought I was going to leave jail in a body bag, so who would know these things? But guess what, my friends? You've seen what Enoch said, and I am crying out, as you can see right here.
You have reached the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Division. Our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We are unable to get to the phone at this time. Please leave your name, phone number, and your report number, and we will get back with you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Al-Yahnai Hawkins. A-L-Y-A-H-N-A-I Hawkins. My phone number is, I will get back with you next week. I'd like you, if you would, to look into a federal hate crime that was committed in 2016 at the address of 9486 County Road 254, Clyde, Texas, 79510. It was under the title of Genesis 2 Church, and it took place between August 25th and September 7th, I would say, of 2016. The arsonist was known. He was reported. There was no investigation. You cannot even find a news report. I lost everything. And when digging deeper, this is a rabbit hole. I hope that you'll help. Again, my name is Al-Yahnai Hawkins, and I'll call you back next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Please note that that phone call took place on Friday, the 29th of November, 2024, and since then, on Sunday, the 1st of December, as you can see here. You can see I'm crying out to the Crime Stoppers of Tarrant County in Texas. They offered me live chat, and as you can see here, if you can read this, I certainly did chat live here yesterday, reporting known felonies on the 1st of December at 2:15. This is live chat, supposedly. Today is Monday, December 2nd, and I've received no reply yet. Please do notice in this newspaper article from the Abilene Reporter News, they profess that they owe over $1 billion to me, which certainly provides motive for the attempt on my life, as well as all the conspiracies by high governmental officials, even including 10 plaintiffs who were public servants, misappropriating your tax dollars, federal and public funds, to file a known fraud into the 104th District Court, Taylor County, Texas, cause number 23075B, wherein those who were stealing your public dollars, your tax dollars, to file a known fraud into a District Court of Texas, one of the highest courts of the land, wherein the judge, Lee Hamilton, did then and there protect those known felons, even to the point where I was not allowed a trial by jury, though paid for, nor did the plaintiffs that filed with misappropriated, stolen public and federal funds they used for seed money, each one of those plaintiffs seeking in excess of over $10,000 each from me, with exemplary damages, and to put me in prison for 10 years. I put a challenge to jurisdiction in on that matter, so they could not close it out. What they desired to do was have a bill that had a default judgment, a valid default judgment by a notary public protest, wherein the bill you seen in the paper there, showing they owed over $1 billion. Well, my friends, within that lawful billing, there are penalties and fees being piled and compounded, interest daily, wherein it's easy to see that 10 public servants place their reputations, their careers, and everything, their freedom on the line to defraud me. However, my king, the King of Kings and ruler of rulers of this universe, is my attorney. And everything you'll see in the record, once the investigation takes place, is almost like prophecies. And I'm no prophet, my friends. I'm a victim who is crying out for judgment. Will you help? Help me be heard. I'm crying out. Please email this to all those who know, to all those who cry out for judgment. Let them see that I am doing so, and hopefully as a result, we will open up Texas for any who desire to live by the every living word of the scriptures, to have a place that, though on the earth, will be outside the realms of the ones who have plotted from the beginning to bring forth our destruction. And please watch, I will further bring forth any new information and post it to show you American justice at work. I'm crying out for judgment. Please hear me now. I love y'all, praying for y'all always. I'm not scared of anybody. Let them know who's bringing this forth. It's all in the court records. But it's your rulers, your officials, that have committed grievous crimes, felonies against we the people. And if you want change, share this video, my friends, with everybody you know, and twice as many that you do not. Thank you kindly in advance. Let's get Exodus 2 on the go, and know that you're loved and prayed for always. Bye.